Welcome to today's podcast. I think this is the second one. Yeah, most definitely. This is the second podcast we are shooting. Remember, the name of the podcast is Club 13. This is a club where we try to become better people by following principles, codes, so that we become better people. So, if I remember correctly, last week we spoke about the individual versus the society. Today we are going to talk about our roots. Something that I find interesting is when I talk to young people or just people around me and I ask them, do you speak your mother tongue? Most people will tell you, no, I don't speak my mother tongue. Some of them will say, um, I don't speak my mother tongue, but I understand when people speak it. I can understand what is going on. And that is not a problem. So when I ask around, why don't you speak your mother tongue? Now, to some people, they say they blame it on the parents, rightly so, as they should, that the parents didn't put emphasis on learning vernacular. So they mostly concentrated on English, Kiswahili, things that would be useful in school, as they claim. So that is what most parents concentrate on. They concentrate on their kids learning things that would be useful in school, which I totally understand. There's nothing wrong in that. It's just that what really annoys me is when you meet somebody and they say they don't speak vernacular, and to them it's a flex. I don't understand how not speaking your vernacular is a flex. How is it a flex that you can speak a foreign language and you cannot speak your vernacular? Now, I'm starting off with language because we want to discuss going back to your roots. Remember, for you to know yourself, you must go back to your roots and understand where your people come from. It is very important. I think a lot of history books, a lot of studies in school do not tell us the real stories. They do not tell us the real stories, and it's become hard for young people nowadays to get in touch with their roots because your parents didn't get in touch with their roots, they shunned it, and even if you're interested in getting back to your roots, you cannot because you don't know where to start, you don't know where to go. Now, professionally, I'm a linguist, I'm a social linguist. Now, in linguistics, we study languages, and one thing about language is that language is a vehicle. Language is a vehicle that carries culture. It carries culture, it carries customs, it carries traditions from one generation to another. It's like a conduit between generations. Let me speak about it in a different way. You cannot learn English and not learn the English culture because the vocabulary that you're going to be using or you're going to be taught is based on the English culture. You cannot learn French without learning the French culture. Actually, for you to be good at any language, you need to learn the culture of the people who speak that language. Then you get to appreciate, you get to understand how they phrase their words, how they express themselves. I know language is a tool. Like currently, I'm using English. Why? Because English is widely spoken. If you want to get to as many people as possible, you speak English. I have no objections. I'm using English as a tool. And rightfully so. I mean, in today's society, we have been schooled, we have been socialized to speak English. We speak English. Yes, we have other languages that we speak, but mostly we speak English. And most of the world speaks English because of what the English did around the world. How do we then go back to our roots? I would suggest Start by learning your language. If you want to learn about your culture, learn your language. Learn your vernacular language. Without your vernacular language, there's no way you're going to learn about your culture. Some people call them indigenous languages. Please try and learn your indigenous language. It's not a flex that you cannot speak it. Actually, for me, aside from people who bleach, I don't like talking to people who pretend they don't. I mean, it's funny. Sometimes you meet somebody and they have a very heavy vernacular accent in their English. Then they tell you they don't speak their vernacular language, and you ask yourself, how? You barely speak English. How do you communicate with people? I mean, your accent is so heavy, and you're claiming you don't speak your vernacular language. Where did you get the accent from? That aside, I think for us to grow as people, we cannot shun our backgrounds. We cannot run away from our cultures. Once we do that, we will never accomplish anything. At the end of the day, the fact that we are promoting other people's cultures and forgetting about ours makes us even weaker. We are weakening ourselves. And there's a lot of wealth, knowledge that we are putting away. If you observe what is going on in the world right now, look at medicine, for example. Nowadays, everything is with aloe vera. You go to the shop, soap, toothpaste, whatever product. Aloe vera in my vernacular is ogaka. Since I was a kid, it grew everywhere and it was used for medical, for treating illnesses, different illnesses. But then, when Mzungu came over, they said, this is backward, Nini, you should go to hospital and get tablets. But, at the end of the day, you realize that there's a lot of commercialization of stuff, even medicine, things that grow naturally. If they tell you not to use that and then go to the hospital, you're given medication that has the same product. So, but we are losing most of these things because we are not speaking our vernacular languages. I'm approaching going back to your roots through language, vernacular language. It's very important to learn your vernacular language. I'm happy whenever I go around and I hear people speaking in their vernacular language, even if I don't understand, I feel proud that they have not lost some of their traditions. It's important that we don't lose the rich knowledge that is embedded, is coded in our vernacular languages. It is important. Now, remember, this podcast is about self growth, self development, becoming a better person. You cannot become a better person if you're always aping other people. You will always have inferiority complex. If you're always aping what other people are doing, it results into inferiority complex. You'll always be inferior to them. I have another podcast where I try and promote my vernacular language. Maybe if you want to have a go at it, you can have a listen. It's called Wang Tipo, where we try and just discuss issues in vernacular. Yes, we are also challenging that we still lack, because we've not grown our vernacular languages so much. We still lack a few words here and there, and we end up using English, but it's better than not, speaking your vernacular at all. So I suggest go back to your parents, go back to your grandparents. It doesn't matter. Some people say, oh, my father is from this tribe, my mother is from the other tribe, so I don't know which one to speak. What about this? Learn both. Learn both languages. It will come in handy. I mean, the more languages you learn, the better. The world is becoming a village, a small village. We are so interconnected that you need to be able to speak this as many languages as possible. And we are blessed in Africa that we have so many languages. For me personally, I believe your tribe is not a negative thing, it's a positive thing. I know politicians use tribe to divide us, as the colonialists did, but it only works when we decide to allow it. Personally, I have friends from all tribes. I don't consider myself a tribalist because I appreciate all the cultures. I believe every culture is rich and we are better, stronger together, unified, rather than looking at, oh, your culture does this, yours does this. I mean, we should celebrate our differences and embrace our similarities. Or is it the other way around? Should embrace our differences and celebrate our similarities? I don't know which is better. But let us learn to appreciate each other. Let us learn our vernacular languages, indigenous languages. There's a lot of knowledge, a great wealth of knowledge that you'll get from learning your vernacular language and actually practicing it. I was so happy the other day when Kiswahili was accepted the AU as one of the official languages. Now we have a language that originated from a country that is now becoming an international language. It was always an international language because it was being spoken in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. That makes it international between different nations. But now it's even growing bigger and bigger. And we should appreciate this. I love Asians. You see, Asians have stuck to their languages. I was looking at Ethiopia, and in Ethiopia they have their language that they've stuck to. Even computers and everything is done in their language. That is very beautiful. Now, for you to become a better person, please go back, learn your vernacular. It's never too late to learn a language. They say if you have activated the language learning part of your brain below the age of 40, then you can always learn a new language. And if you are a Kenyan, then just growing up in Kenya, you have learned at least three languages. You have at least three languages that you have done. So it's not going to be that hard to learn another one. Please try and learn your vernacular languages. Some people are scared of being judged by others. Oh, what will my circle of friends say? I always say that there's nothing people do better than judging others. There's nothing we do better than judging others. So why waste your time worrying about how people see you? How do you want to be seen? We spoke about confidence the other day. Standing in front of a mirror and accepting your flaws and changing what you can change. That boosts your confidence. But worrying about what people think of you, as long as you're doing the right thing, there's no problem. I mean, you're living for you. People will always judge. And this, I see a lot of people shying away from learning their vernacular languages or indigenous languages because they're asking themselves, what will people think? What will people say? And it's not a big deal. Don't worry about what people will say. People will always talk. People will always discuss. People will always judge. But it's important to know where you're going. The only way you can know where you're going is to know where you're from. And I'm giving you a small suggestion. Learn your vernacular language. Take pride in your tribe. I'm not promoting negative tribalism. I'm not saying hate the other tribe. I'm just saying love your tribe. You can always love other tribes as well. But appreciate your tribe. Be proud of it. It's your background. It's your culture. It's your roots. Now, please do that. Love your culture. Love your tribe. Love your roots. And learn. I know some languages are so hard to learn. My mom is Suba and she doesn't speak her language. The Luos assimilated the Abasuba. So they kept some of their traditions, but they lost their language, and they're trying to revive it. I speak my vernacular, so that's not a big deal, but I'm interested in learning my mother's tongue as well. Only issue is she doesn't speak it, and there are no so hard to find people who speak it, but doesn't mean we can't try. Where there's a will, there's always a way. I have something called the rule of threes. It's interesting. The rule of threes. They say uh, you cannot go more than 3 days without water. You will die. Without water or fluids, you will die. Water-based fluids or drinks, you will die. And if you go 3 weeks without food, you will die. And I add to it, I say, for a man, now I'm talking to men, I like talking to men. It is not right to go 3 months without income of some sort. It is important that you have a source of income as a man. Don't go 3 months without income. It is not right. The role of a man is to provide and protect. You cannot provide, and nowadays you can't even protect without a source of an income. It is very important for men to have a source of income, and ensure you don't go more than 3 months without a source of an income. There's so many things you can do to provide and protect financially as well. So it is wrong to go 3 months, more than 3 months. Within the 3 months, figure out source of income, which also means that as a man, you should have whatever job you're doing, you should have your savings, emergency savings that can last you 3 months at least. They say 6 months, but I go with 3. 6 months is the best. You have 6 months saving for your basics, meaning your rent, your food, your transport, your livelihood. 6 months. Always have that put aside. But before you get to that level, go with 3 months. Because I believe within 3 months you must have figured out something else to do, to bring in, to do for money. And I also say that 3 years without growth or progress is detrimental to your career. You have a career and you're not growing. 3 years, there's no change. You're on the same salary, same benefits, nothing. You're not growing. You're not learning anything new. You're not developing any new skills. You're just there doing the same exact thing, same exact outcome. You're not even getting a salary increment. 3 years, going 3 years, more than 3 years at the same level, no. It's time to move. Figure out something. And if you're working a 8 to 5 job, ask yourself, what is it that is needed? What is required for me to get to the next level? For me to advance from whatever position I have right now to the next level. Figure it out within the 3 years of that position and do it. If you require new skills, learn the skills. Sometimes maybe you need a new language, or you need some training, you need a course. Figure it out and do it so that you improve. Staying at the same position career-wise, there's no progress, there's no improvement, there's no growth for more than 3 years is not good. And then for men as well, you have 3 decades to become a man since birth. from the time you're born, 3 decades. I remember I got this from, Jesus started working when he was 30. That is when he started his mission at the age of 30. I believe for men, by the time you're 30, you should have figured out where you're going as a man. You have 3 decades to become a man. By becoming a man, I said the job of a man is to protect and provide. You should be able to protect and provide for your kin. If you are if you're past 30 and you have no direction, no job, no career, no money, you're useless. You're wasting oxygen. You are wasting oxygen. Get a hold of yourself. As a man past 30, totally useless. Even for ladies, you get to 30 and you have no career, you have no family, you are going. Because remember, for ladies, by the time you're 30, you have lost 90% of your eggs. So even fertility wise, it's very hard to settle down. They say for ladies between the ages of 21 and 30, should have settled down, gotten your family. No man wants to marry you when you're past 30. It doesn't make a lot of sense for men. Ladies, anasema, ladies have a shelf life. So hence they claim they mature faster than men. So for ladies, I would suggest get married in your 20s before you get to 30. Because after 30, it's downhill. For men as well, by the time you're 30, you have a sense of direction. You have a career that you've already started. 30. 3 decades is enough time, I think. 3 decades. You have more time. You have a lot of time. You have more time than the ladies. Ladies, after 25, they become desperate. But men after 25, now that is when you become attractive, because now you are starting to figure out your job, what you want to do in life. Dare I say, I've seen a lot of men get vitambis past their 30s when they get to 30, and then that is where you start getting comfortable. But for a man, it is very important. If you are 30 and you're still living with your parents, you still rely on your parents or other people to provide for you, something is wrong. Get a hold of your life. Something is terribly wrong. Make your errors, make your trials, do all the blunders you want. In your 20s, discover, explore. When you get to 30, you should be settling down, figuring out your job, having a direction in your life. By the time you're 30, you should have already put targets. By the time you're 35, you must have achieved this. By the time you're 40, they say life begins at 40, fourth floor. But remember, if you are able to figure out what you want in life by 30, you have 10 years to prepare for your life that starts at 40. Remember, by the time you're 20, let me tell you a story. So as a kid, I actually love the way my mom brought us up. As a kid, my mom never got involved directly. Like, he never told you to do your homework. She always trusted that you did your homework. She would just ask you, did you have homework? Have you done it? And you say yes or no. What are you waiting for? I mean, she ensured she did her job. Like, she paid school fees. You're never home for school fees. She bought you books and everything that was required for you to perform in school. She did her part. Sat you down and told you, I have done my part. Now, if you want to squander this, you go ahead and squander it. But I have done my part. What is required of me? Because by law, you your parents take care of you until you're 18. When you're 18, you're now an adult and you can make your own decisions. So I remember my mom telling us that by the time you're 18, you will be now preparing to go to campus. If you do well in your exams in high school, I will pay. But remember, I'm paying out of the kindness of my heart. I'm not required to take care of you past 18. And trust me, if you played around with my mom, you started bringing issues at home, and you're 18, you're gone. Just go. Because you can fend for yourself. So by the time you're 18, you're an adult. Now, between 18 years and 30, you need to have figured things out. You have 20, I mean, not 20, you have 12 years to figure it out. 12 years to figure it out, to mess around, try new things, figure it out. 18, above 18. So by the time you're getting to 30, you should be ready to face the real world. I mean, you should have some form of direction, especially for men. It is very important. Ladies don't need to worry much about that. But for you to secure your future as well, if not to rely on other people, you can also follow the same advice. But ladies have a lot of things to take care of. Men, I will always insist, you have two jobs: protect and provide. If you want to be protected and provided for, I start to question your manhood. I believe that is what manhood is about: your ability to protect and provide. You have 12 years once you become an adult to figure things out. Once you're 30, now you should start focusing on big things. You should not be 30 and you still don't know what you want to become. When I grow up, you're grown. You're 30. You can't go telling people, oh, when I grow up, I want to become X, Y, and Z. No. By the time you're 30, you're grown. You should know. People should, younger guys should be coming to you for advice. Oh, what do you advise me to do? I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Time you're 30, you should not be going asking people, what do I do? You should have figured it out in your 20s, what you want to be doing for the rest of your life. And it's nice. I like the way our education system is. By the time you're 18, above 18, you're going to campus or college. Or if you didn't do so well in your exams, then you have to find a job to do to get you money. But you're figuring things out. As a kid, you have like a very structured life. During school days, you're going to school, and most of your life goes around school. Then during holidays, you try and figure things out with your parents and your siblings. Now you have time to get mad at each other and get under each other's skin. But once you become 18, let's say you go to campus, it is not as structured as you think. you have a lot of liberties, a lot of freedom. So you need to figure things out. And I see a lot of people mess up in campus because they didn't have a good foundation back home. Back home. They are not grounded back home. Their foundation was weak. Maybe the parents were not there, so they were taking care. It's the house helps, and they call them house managers that took care of the kids, and the parents were just making money. It's important for parents to be around their kids so that they guide them. I know making money is important, but find time for your kid. So we always have this argument with my mom, and whenever anybody does something wrong or makes the wrong decisions, I always say bad parenting goes back to you, as a joke, of course. But basically, it's your parents only play a role until you're 18, and then now they just the only thing they can do is advise you. Because remember, even if they start businesses for you, you can't run them if you they didn't parent you well. So the rule of threes, never forget the rule of threes. You cannot go more than 3 days without water in your system, you'll die. You cannot go 3 weeks without food, you'll die. As an adult man, your job is to protect and provide. You cannot go more than 3 months without a source of income. You have 3 years. You're working 3 years without growth. There's something wrong. You have to grow. You have to be making progress. 3 decades, you have to figure things out as a man. 3 decades. I call it the rule of threes. Okay, that's it. Thank you for being part of this Club 13, for having watched, and stay tuned for more. We'll be bringing more, discussing more issues. Um, the next one, we're going to be discussing 13 sins.